Welcome to The Explainer. So glad you're joining us today because, well, we're tackling a monster of a challenge that pretty much every modern enterprise is wrestling with, managing those sprawling complex data ecosystems. Let's just jump right in. Today, we're zeroing in on a real game changer, the Unicorn AI Data Manager, or UDAM, specifically version 2.7.0. If you've ever had that sinking feeling that your org's data is growing way faster than your ability to manage it safely, you're definitely going to want to stick around for this. Let's kick things off with a slightly uncomfortable question. Is your data platform actually creating dangerous blind spots? I know a ton of IT managers and data engineers out there are nodding right now. It's a massive, daily headache. You've got these sprawling platforms, multiple databases everywhere, and then boom, you realize you're basically flying blind. You have zero line of sight into exactly who is querying what, or if the data they're yanking out is even fresh. And let's be real, that's a huge, huge risk for governance and security. Now think about the tools you're probably using right now. Standard tools like the Microsoft Fabric portal usually operate on workspace level limits. That's a very clunky all-or-nothing approach, right? Plus, it's restricted just to Fabric and has pretty limited auditing. But when we consider modern enterprise needs, the demands are way more sophisticated. We need granular, table-level control. We absolutely need multi-database connectivity, because let's face it, nobody uses just one type of database anymore. And we need deep API request auditing to know exactly what's going on under the hood. So to really get how to fix this, we first need to understand the root of the problem. Section 1, the enterprise data bottleneck. Okay, so here's the reality of the data landscape right now. Data is literally everywhere. You might have spun up a shiny new data lake in Microsoft Fabric, sure, but your core apps, they're probably still running on PostgreSQL. And those legacy systems are deeply, stubbornly tied to SQL Server or MySQL. The headache isn't just the variety of databases, though. It's that your control tools are totally isolated. They act as these independent silos. Admins simply can't track who is querying what across the whole organization because they don't have a unified system with that crucial table-level precision. Ultimately, we desperately need a bridge to unify these silos, but without ripping and replacing the whole shebang. Section 2. Enter Unicorn Data Manager. Meet the Unicorn AI Data Manager, UADM version 2.7.0. The best way to think about this isn't as a replacement for your current admin tools, but rather as a universal data gateway. It's this incredibly smart AI-powered control layer that sits right on top of all your scattered databases and basically supercharges your management capabilities. It ties everything together into one unified, intelligent workspace. But of course, the second you mentioned unifying access to all enterprise data, IT managers immediately throw up their hands and ask, okay, but what about security? Section 3. Granular Security and Control. UADM tackles the security problem head-on with something called 4D data scopes for API keys. Instead of handing out these broad, terrifying workspace access passes, UADM uses dual authentication and lets admins lock down API keys across 4 highly specific dimensions. First, the data source, like a specific analytics database. Second, the domain, say sales or HR. Third, the layer. Are we talking raw bronze data or polished, ready-to-use gold data? And finally, the 4th dimension, tags, like PII or financial data. You can literally lock an external BI tool down to exact tables using this 4-dimensional matrix. It is incredibly, incredibly precise. Building on that precision, just imagine having a system that actively protects you from human error or even malicious intent. That is query sandboxing. Whenever a user or an API key runs a query, UADM acts like a bodyguard. It automatically blocks destructive SQL commands. So your drops, deletes, truncates, blocked. It enforces strict table whitelists and even slaps on row limits automatically. That way, nobody accidentally downloads a 100 million row table and completely tanks your system. It's basically automated peace of mind. All right, let's move on to something that's an absolute game changer for data engineers who are just begging for a single pane of glass. Section 4, Universal Multi-Database Connectivity. I am absolutely obsessed with this feature. UDM runs on a pluggable connector framework. It supports Microsoft Fabric, even crossing over into external tenants, along with Postgres, SQL Server, and MySQL. It safely corrals all these different databases under one single roof. And the security? Top-notch. It uses AES 256 GCM encryption for credentials at rest. That means the front-end UI never, ever sees your passwords in plain text. You're getting this amazing universal connectivity without sacrificing an ounce of your security posture.
And because UADM connects the whole ecosystem, it traces your data's journey in a really powerful way. The pipeline lineage viewer shows the exact flow of everything. It traces from the source database right through the specific pipeline activity, all the way down to the destination lakehouse. Why does this actually matter? Well, if your production SQL server suddenly goes down, your team instantly knows exactly which destination tables and downstream reports are going to break. No more frantic guessing. But while safely connecting data is fantastic, raw databases are notoriously cryptic and tough to decipher.
Section 5. AI-powered data discovery. We have literally all been here. You inherit a database, you open it up, and you stumble across a legacy stored procedure named something totally unhelpful, like USP_GetSales_V3_final. What on earth does it do? Who wrote it? Is it even safe to run? 9 times out of 10, the person who wrote it left the company 3 years ago, and there is absolutely zero documentation. It's just a massive, time-consuming headache.
Here is the absolute wow moment of UADM. It features an AI advisor that literally reads and analyzes those raw, complex SQL schemas and cryptic stored procedures for you. Based on that analysis, it automatically generates a dual-language business glossary, maps out all the relationships between tables, and creates actionable metadata. It completely takes the heavy lifting out of documentation. Just like that.
And all that awesome AI-generated data, it feeds directly into the stored procedure knowledge base. But this isn't just a static, boring wiki. It's a live, collaborative hub. Your team can jump in, add hybrid tags, assign classification levels from critical P1s down to standard P3s, and most importantly, use threaded comments. This right here is how you preserve that elusive tribal knowledge. When someone discovers a weird quirk in the data, they drop a comment. So when a senior engineer resigns, their deep, nuanced understanding of the data doesn't just walk out the front door with them. Okay, let's tie all of this, the connectivity, the security, and the AI discovery, all together. Section 6, Complete Pipeline and Governance.
So in version 2.7.0, Phase 13 rolls out a massive workflow upgrade, the table analysis and annotation system. Think about how we used to do this. Finding out basic information about a table meant opening 5 different tabs and running tedious manual queries. Now, you literally just click a button. A batch analysis all process runs silent background queries to pull row counts, auto-detect empty junction tables, and grab data samples. On top of that, data stewards can finally track workflow statuses directly in the UI. You can mark a table as connected or add to Fabric and leave remarks, all completely secured with full audit trails. And speaking of knowing exactly what's happening with your data, let's talk about data freshness. Just because a pipeline ran successfully does not mean the data inside is actually new. You know this. UADM's data freshness background service actually proves your data is current. It does this by querying the max date column in your tables on a regular schedule. It automatically sorts your view so the stale tables jump straight to the top. That means you can catch data delays way before your business users even notice something's off. Finally, UDAM completely bridges the gap between discovering data and actually loading it. The AI takes table analysis a massive step further. It reviews the schema, looks at the top 10 sample data rows, and then it actually suggests the exact ETL load type you should be using, whether that's a master load, an upsert, or a transaction mode. And the best part? It gives you human-readable reasoning for exactly why it made that suggestion. It's honestly like having a senior data engineer sitting right next to you, advising you on every single table. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with the exact same question we started with, but hopefully now with a totally new perspective. Is your data platform working for you, or is it creating more blind spots? With a tool like the Unicorn AI Data Manager, you really don't have to just accept scattered silos, dangerous security gaps, and totally undocumented logic as your status quo. You can bridge those gaps with a universal gateway. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on the explainer today. Stay curious, and I'll catch you next time.